Tom, my brother, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm sitting here relaxing and chilling out in Somersworth, New Hampshire. Yeah.
Yep.
What movie are we
Sounds
talking? What movie are we talking about, Dom?
today we're talking about the 1976 Dan Curtis film, Burnt Offerings.
Yeah, and Dan Curtis was known for his television productions.
He
Uh,
was indeed. He was the guy that developed was the Nightstalker
yes,
with Kolchak. I love that series.
it was an excellent series, and um, your Aunt Barbara, she loved she loved that series too. She really got me into the Night Stalker. She always wanted to watch it when that series came on TV. And
That was the original X-Files.
yeah, it was. It really was way before X-Files ever made its debut.
I
Yeah,
can't believe how little it's talked about.
I know. I almost forgotten Kolchak, the the um, the Night Stalker inspector. But yeah, that was a great TV show.
And I didn't realize until I started looking into it, he also did Dark Shadows.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And he kind of had a reputation for doing creepy, eerie stuff, and
Hmm.
he kind of loved his kind of like bizarre horror-esque stuff. And they didn't always dip purely into the horror element. Even this one was like it was flirting with the edges of horror, gothic, all kinds of weird things. But yeah,
Now, let me describe the movie for our audience at home,
sure,
just in
sure.
case you've never seen it, which,
Yeah,
if you've never seen it, you've got no excuse. It's on Tubi that anyone can watch for free.
yeah, yes, it's widely available. But
So, anyway,
yeah,
a family that lives in New York gets sick of the city and wants to spend some time out in the country. And so they rent this immense elaborate mansion. In fact, when they show up, they can't believe
that
just
it's
how
that
large
big.
it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, they're overwhelmed.
And the deal seems almost too good to be true. It's this sprawling estate for $900 for the entire summer,
Right, right.
which, by the way, transferred into money for 2024. I believe it comes to somewhere around $4,000 to $5,000.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's not a pittance, that's for sure. But at the same time, look what they were getting.
Mm-hmm.
It did come with a little bit of a caveat, though, if you want to.
It did indeed, but in any case, as the family settles in, um, odd things start to happen, and not so much with the house, but with them. Like they
Yes,
get uncharacteristically angry at one another and violent, and they're sorry for their actions afterwards, but that doesn't change the fact that it happens again and again.
yeah, yeah.
And the mom in particular, she doesn't change back and forth. She starts going fully into the weird.
Well, yeah, definitely. And one other thing, just to get into the whole beginning of the film, the great Eileen Heckart, who was standing there behind the wheelchair, if you can barely see that behind me,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
in the wheelchair is Burgess Meredith, who is a great actor, and of course to the side of me is Karen Black and Oliver Reed, all iconic actors, actresses. Um, but that is one of the things that when they take possession of the house for the summer, um, you can tell that the couple is kind of desperate to have them take the house because, for one thing, they lower the price of the rental, and then they spring that there is I don't know how old she was, 90 something year old woman upstairs in the attic, an upstairs attic bedroom, and that's their aunt, I believe. Um, and um, and she needs to be given meals 3 times a day. But other than that, she's kind of responsible for her own care. So that's kind of the other end of the what they have to do. But they lower the price, and it's actually quite reasonable. Now, they never did say, like, did they have to do grounds work? Because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done when they first arrive there.
Mhm.
But of course, ironically, the house starts to mend itself, which is one of
Well,
the things.
not only starts to mend itself, seems to compel the family to do repairs to it.
Yeah, yeah, and and it's almost like the things that are happening. Um, they Yeah, each task, like the pool, all of a sudden they get this overwhelming feeling like they need to get the pool in operation, and they start cleaning up the pool, which turns into a actually a little homicidal episode with Oliver Reed and his son. Um, but now, was this had you seen the movie before, or was this your first time?
If I've seen it, I forgot about it because I did
I
not
think
remember it at all.
I think you saw this when you were much younger, because
Mhm.
this was one that was on TV a lot when I was young. And I think when you were probably maybe in your early teens, maybe even before, I think our family subjected you to see this one, but it was probably a long time ago. So I don't blame you for not remembering it. But what did you think after seeing it? And
I think it doesn't hold up to today's standards.
you think it lacks a little bit?
I think it lacks. It plays like a TV movie, even though this
Yeah,
is Curtis's only theatrical release.
right.
He's deeply entrenched um in his own art. He's got a very stylistic, very recognizable way about him.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. If you've seen one of his productions, you kind of know what his stuff is about. Um, but I deeply love this one. It's occupies a real fond place in my heart, partly because I grew up seeing it so much on TV. I probably saw it 4 or 5 times as a younger person, and then over the years I've caught it, you know, uh, intermittently. But I love the idea that when I was growing up, probably when I got into my, I'm 65 now, I'm old, but when I was growing up, when I was in my late 70s, there were a lot of mid 70s, there were a lot of TV movies, everything like Born Innocent, Satan's School for Girls. There were all these like uh How Awful About Alan. There were just like tons of
Ants.
yes, absolutely. And they were
The Poseidon Adventure was a theatrical release, wasn't it?
some of I actually get mixed up because yeah, Poseidon Adventure was definitely theatrical, but I get mixed up sometimes because there were so many real high quality um, TV movies, and a lot of them were horror movies. Um, and I get mixed up which ones were theatrical releases originally and which ones were TV movies. I mean, Born Innocent was a TV movie, but it was a pretty high production TV movie. And I used to always think that one, what's the Spielberg one with Dennis Weaver, where he's being menaced by
Oh,
the truck?
Duel?
Duel, yes, the great movie Duel, which actually was a movie and it was done as a movie, but it was released in the United States pretty. I don't know if it ever hit the theaters. Maybe it did, but it was quickly put on TV, and people really got to know that one from TV. And this one here, like I said, I saw this on TV constantly, and I just associate this like a TV movie. So it's just fun for me. And again, I consider it to be, it's got a warm place in my heart. So
It's a classic, and I got to say that the camera work is phenomenal,
yeah,
particularly the framing of a lot of scenes was amazing. But it's such a slow burn. I don't think audiences these days would tolerate how long
Yeah,
it takes to get rolling.
you could definitely be right. It's got a little bit of a hokey quality to it, I would say, for today's more sophisticated, audiences. But I don't know, there's something, it's kind of like the movie Trilogy of Terror,
Yes.
which also had Karen Black, and she was great in all these like kind of like strange
Uh,
offbeat.
Also a Dan Curtis film.
Yes, absolutely. Um, and and again, like I said, I just like when I get a chance to see one of these, I really enjoy it. I actually almost picked Trilogy of Terror instead of this, and it was a close call uh, because I'd love to do Trilogy of Terror at another time. That's a great horror flick, but and definitely a TV movie. Karen Black later said she wished she had never done Trilogy of Terror. I
Why
know.
is that? She's really
I,
famous for that role.
She is, and actually, it was like an iconic role for her that actually, like, people really associate Karen Black probably more with that than for roles like Five Easy Pieces. I mean, she's been in so many cool movies, and
Wasn't she in The Deep?
no, that was Jacqueline Bisset.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, she's been just in so many, a lot of '60s movies, that people really know her from.
Easy
Uh,
Rider.
Yes, definitely. I was just reading some stuff about we got to do Easy Rider one day.
Oh, of course. Again, another classic.
Yes, and there's so much trivia surrounding that film that there's so much like there's little anecdotes that I'd love to like dig into stuff around Dennis Hopper, who was so darn weird. But I mean, come on. He was a strange dude, but I mean, hey, people love Dennis Hopper, and I do. Now that's a trailer behind me for the movie. And by the way, that station wagon is a Ford LTD, and I knew that one growing up because I used to drive it. It was one of the first cars I ever drove was a Ford LTD, a '72 Ford LTD. I think that one's an earlier one, but maybe not. Uh, and by the way, did you read up about the mansion
Yeah,
that
I
they're showing
did.
in this?
The
You want to,
Dunsmuir House.
yes, do you want to give some info on that, or do
Yeah,
you want me?
so while this movie was set in New York, or at least somewhere close to New York, like Connecticut,
Right.
the house they used was the Dunsmuir House just outside of Oakland, California.
Yeah.
It was built by such and such Dunsmuir. I forget his first name in 1899 as a wedding gift to his new bride.
Right.
However, they never got to he never got to live in it because when it was done, he was still on the East Coast and he died there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
then his bride, who did get to live in the house, died shortly thereafter.
yeah, it's actually the funny thing about it. It was a great place to shoot because the house is actually almost you could call it a cursed house. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when you think of the history of the house.
Can you
Um,
tell me what else we shot there?
what else was shot there?
Yeah,
I do remember hearing something else, but no, what was it?
Phantasm.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Now I don't know how much was used of the interior. Probably when they did the inside shots of where the casket is. There's a scene where the kid climbs into the casket and closes the lid because they're coming in there looking for him. And I don't know, was any of the basement area used for the shots of?
Since I haven't read up on Phantasm, I don't know that much. I mostly read up on the house, and
Yeah.
it was like featured in man, I don't know how many movies. I think The Living Daylights had it.
Oh wow. Okay.
There's
Yeah.
the house in its um today. There's a tours are given of this house.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's on the historical register.
Right. Right. And well, as well, it should be. I mean, look at it. It's a fabulous mansion. And I mean, I don't know how much of that was the actual interior in the shots, but
All of it.
really,
This is
yeah,
the interesting thing. I was reading an interview from Curtis, and he said no sets were used.
wow, wow,
Everything was on location.
huh. Now I did hear stuff about because I think must part of the deal must have been that they probably did a lot of repairs that were paid for by the studio because um, I know that the pool area that they did a whole lot of work on the pool area, and also some of the stuff with the wallpapering. Supposedly that they were asked to either repaper or repaint walls. So they did a lot of repair work. So the movie definitely. And by the way, before we forget, Bette Davis is in this movie. She's an elderly Bette Davis, and that's another person that's in this movie. And I would really be remiss in not naming her because my God, the great Bette Davis. But I think she was just looking for a paycheck when she did this one.
I gotta say, this had such an all-star cast.
Yeah,
It's another film where I almost feel they were wasted. They didn't have that much to work with.
yeah, yeah.
They're great actors, and they came through regardless.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
their
They rose.
lines, their backstory, it was really hard for me to take.
Well, I don't know. I like the plot, but I do think they rose above the material too.
Mhm.
Um, it's there's some horrific scenes in this. I mean, there's the scenes with Bette Davis, like that one that's behind you right now. Um, her back is cracking, like she's having these. The house is like, and I almost think that part of the whole deal with the house was that it it fed off of the people's pain and suffering. So it almost had to cause pain and suffering in order to repair itself.
Mhm.
Because by the end of the movie, you see that the house has restored itself, and which is ironic because that they did repair the house by the end, but I mean, it's there's Bette Davis there, and she's like she probably suffered the worst of any of them. But I mean, everybody was not only traumatized terribly, but I don't think any of them actually got out alive. Uh,
It depends how
that's
you define a lie.
that's true. That's true. Um,
I
I
can't
mean,
believe they killed the kid off.
well, that actually was one of the things that I not only kind of enjoyed it that they actually had the balls to kill the kid, but also I mean even just the way they did it. The kid is at the end of the movie, and for anyone that hasn't seen the movie, I would hope you have already seen it, but if you have, I'm sure there's tons of people that
I've
never
already
saw.
announced it. If they're watching this video, they've had fair warning.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Now, and that's the family riding in the car on the way in, looking at the mansion as they drive in, and and by the end of the movie, Karen Black is like brainwashed into she's actually becoming the old woman that she's taking care of. She's kind of
She's
like
been possessed by the house. That's how
yes,
I think of it.
yes, definitely, absolutely. I completely agree with that explanation. That's exactly what it is. The father and the son just want out. They just want to get out. And she decides at the last part to go back inside. And Bette Davis has already been taken away. I think she got taken away in an ambulance. I think maybe she's the only one that lived.
No,
Oh, was she taken out feet first? I can't remember now, but
I'm looking for the background to show
yeah,
it.
but the kid gets crushed by a big urn that comes cascading down, and
No,
there's
the chimney.
oh, that's right, that's what it was. It was a piece of the chimney broke off and just which was a horrific way of killing him too. So I mean, like I said, this movie had balls when it came to when it came to how it was taken. I mean, to take out a kid, they won't even show that anymore, which they didn't show it there either. They just showed the kid going ah and the chimney cracking off. But at the end of the movie, they show a shot with the restored mansion, and Burgess Meredith and his sister are back in the house again, going, "Oh, the house is great." And
Now, that's one thing that annoyed me.
what's
The
that?
version you watched, did they actually show Burgess Meredith at the end? Because in the movie I watched, it was only their voices, and that really annoyed me. I'm like, why aren't we seeing them return? Like, we saw them at the start, which was great. They were so creepy.
Right.
But why just a voiceover at the end?
Um, I'm trying. It actually, I'm trying to remember now what I actually saw. I think you might be right. I think you might, and that might have been. That's something you'd have to look up. But
Yeah, yeah.
but I mean, it's possible that they had already wrapped the shooting and they decided to add that as instead of just having the last shot be the kid with the chimney falling on him, then they show the house full. Because here's an example of this greenhouse was completely dead. All the plants, everything was dead in the house when they first arrived. And in fact, there's an actor that I can't even think of his name, but he's an iconic actor that plays character
The
parts.
handyman,
Yes, the handyman. Who was
Dub
that?
Taylor.
Okay, yep, and he's been in a lot of movies, a lot of TV movies, a lot of movies, and always plays kind of like a real down home, earthy guy. A lot of times a bad guy, and he's kind of the creepy handyman. And he's at one point you see him early on in the movie. He's getting ready to throw a plant out, and Burgess Meredith stops him, and he says, "What are you doing with that?" And he says, "I'm throwing it out. It's dead." And he goes, "Look again." And he looks at it, and there's a little blossom in there. And he goes, "Well, what do you know?" Um, the house had already begun to start restoring itself, and this is much later in the movie, I think after Bette Davis had her little episode, and there's the greenhouse full of plants, all growing. Everything's happy and alive again because the house feeds on people suffering, and at least that's the way I saw it. But but yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I just love this movie. Um, Now, did you read about any of the background with Bette Davis and
Oh,
Oliver
yeah.
Reed? Oliver Reed in particular.
From what I heard, Bette Davis hated every one of the other
Yes,
cast members.
yes. She
Just,
didn't
just,
like.
just like them all.
She thought Karen Black was unprofessional, and she hated Oliver Reed.
She's quoted as saying Oliver Reed is the most reprehensible human
Yes,
being I've ever had the
yeah.
misfortune of
Well,
meeting.
I love Bette Davis. She was so hysterical. If you ever get a chance, people that are watching, look up on YouTube, look up the Johnny Carson episode where not Dana Carvey, another Saturday Night Live character. He was doing a Bette Davis impersonation, and he did it in front of Bette Davis, and you could see her face, and she's just like she's looking off, and she's not happy at all. She was definitely like sort of prim and proper. She wanted the proper respect shown to her. Oliver Reed was a notorious drunk, probably one of the worst. In fact, he killed himself drinking. He drank himself to death, and I mean, he literally went on a drinking tear. That's hard to do. Like one night, just taking yourself out.
Oh,
Um,
he had more than one night. I mean,
oh, he
he
did.
was well known for his drinking. That was
Oh
his.
yeah, he was. Yeah, this guy was legendary. I mean, if you went out drinking with Oliver Reed, he was going to drink you under the table. you know. So I mean, he was notorious for his drinking and causing trouble on sets and just. I actually think he was up for a part in Jaws, and yeah, I actually think he might have been up for the part of Robert Shaw, and he was even worse than Robert Shaw for
He lost a number of roles
yeah,
due to his drinking.
yeah, yeah, which is sad. And he also he stabbed somebody. He stabbed himself in the Three Musketeers. Um, but he actually, I think he actually put a sword through his own neck. I mean, he was dangerous. He was, he was he was always drunk on set. But yeah, Betty Davis could not stand him. So yeah, and she thought Karen Black was unprofessional. Didn't say anything about Burgess Meredith or Eileen Heckart.
Well,
And
I don't know if she even met them. I don't think they had scenes together.
you're right. You're right because she didn't come in to the house until probably a few days after they took possession of the house. So you're right. They probably didn't have any scenes together. And that voiceover you're talking about, I think that was probably a voiceover that was done. Um, Maybe they decided it just wasn't right to have the ending being the chimney fall on that little kid. So they probably thought, well, we should have something to soften the blow a little.
It's odd. I mean, again, you've got. I've already said that I don't think they gave Oliver Reed or Betty Davis that much to work with, given the caliber of actors that they
Yeah.
were. Likewise, Heckart and Meredith at the very beginning, they were creepy as all get out.
Oh my
And why they
God.
were
Yeah.
not utilized more, I do not understand.
Yeah. Seriously, they should have been. The plot definitely, I will say this much, and I hate to be critical of the movie because I love the movie just as it stands. But I do have to say it there was a promise of more that was not there. So in the final piece. So yeah, oh that's that you've got the I didn't have a shot of that, but that is the best shot at the end of the movie.
Karen Black is the only actor that was fully utilized, and
Yeah.
this was terrifying.
Yeah, oh my God, it was terrifying. And her faces because she does the same thing in Trilogy of Terror.
Hmm.
You know, she's got that scene where she's got the knife and she's stabbing with the possessed the doll, the one that everybody loves the most out of the. It's a trilogy, of course,
The
Trilogy
best
of
one.
Terror. What's that?
It's the best one out of the
It's the
three.
best one. I mean, I like them all, but that just is so far above the other two that it almost just overwhelms it. Everybody wants to see the demon doll. And at the end of the movie, you see a face that's not too far off from that. She was capable of just making that face.
Hmm.
And but Oliver Reed, she's so scary that Oliver Reed's character, when he comes up, because he's the kid is saying, Dad, please, like, don't go back inside the house. And the poor kid, I mean, his mom's off her nut. The
That
kid,
almost kills him.
yeah, really, in the pool. There's that horrific scene in the pool where the father starts dunking him and trying to drown him, and and he won't stop. If it's not for Betty Davis screaming, "Stop, stop!" that he finally like lets go and stops. But the poor kid's in the car, and the father goes upstairs to try to get the mother and sees that behind you and leaps out of the window, I guess, or he's thrown out of the window, I assume.
I assumed he was thrown out by some
Yeah.
supernatural force.
Yeah, because he went out the window so hard, he landed face first, and that's the other thing. The kid was so traumatized by seeing that the father like smashing his face through the windshield, and the kid gets out of the car, and I don't know what he was doing at that point, but he looks
Well, I think
up,
he was just out of his head.
yeah, and the whole house is coming down. It looks like the whole house is just coming apart, and the chimney, of course, breaks apart, falls on him, and all you see is ah. And then the next thing you see is the house fully restored because of all the pain and suffering it caused that family. And and Burgess Meredith and Eileen Heckart are back in the house, and that's the voiceover. So
but we haven't talked about the single most frightening thing in this movie.
what's that? Oh, the chauffeur. Yes. And there's a backstory behind the chauffeur too. Yeah,
Yep.
he is now again talking about the chauffeur and also about the movie Phantasm and this house. Um, he's like he plays a part from Phantasm because there was the creepy big chauffeur in that one. But do you have the backstory on the
The,
chauffeur?
the backstory I heard
Yeah,
was that this was a childhood memory of Dan Curtis's. Uh,
frightening.
he went to a funeral
Yeah,
and with his family, and at one point he was away from the main funeral and he saw the driver of the hearse with someone else just laughing.
yeah, and
And
looking
that
over at them. Yeah,
mhm,
and
mhm.
he and it traumatized him. Wasn't it the funeral for his mom or something?
It could have been. I don't remember who, but yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds
I
right.
believe it was for like his mom or dad, which is like terrible to think. This poor kid,
Mhm.
and to see this creepy chauffeur looking over at him and laughing. And he said it was so creepy and it was so blood chilling to him that the chauffeur was looking over and laughing. What kind of a heartless bastard that knows? I mean, he had to have known he was a chauffeur for the hearse, and he had to have known that this poor kid just lost his mom, and he's in the background.
Yeah, but how do we know? Like for all I know, this guy has put in a 60-hour work week. He's not even paying attention to the part. He's staring off into space.
Yeah,
This
that's
kid
true.
thinks he's looking at him, and
He might have even been stoned. I
right,
mean,
right. I mean, I don't think there was a nefarious reason to this at all. I just think in the mind of a child that's just been through a trauma,
yeah,
yeah, that's going to freak you out.
that's true. That's true. You don't know what was going on in the kid's head and or what was going on in the chauffeur's head. But in any case, it is it's a great piece of trivia because because I mean he actually put a childhood trauma from his own childhood into the movie that really worked well because in the movie it's Oliver Reed's character that is he was traumatized by something like that when he was a kid, and every time he sees this chauffeur coming along, he just freezes, and the chauffeur, of course, is taking immense delight in in terrorizing Oliver Reed.
So
But
this is the actor's name is Anthony James. And in case you can't guess, he is almost always playing a villain. He's been in a ton of movies.
yeah, well, he's got the face for
Mhm.
it. He's definitely got the face for it, so for sure. Um, yeah, and oh, here now talking about trivia. Do you know the trivia that's in this scene right here?
I do. I do.
Go for it if you
No, I wasn't even going to say this because
you're a beer drinker, and you should know by what he's carrying in his hand. But just go you go ahead and
so I don't know if we're thinking about the same thing because
okay,
I
maybe
read this
not.
trivia and it was such minutia. I'm like, how is that even related to the movie? But the thing
Right.
is in 1976, they were supposed to be in a house on the East Coast,
Yes. Yep.
but a person on the East Coast would not be drinking a Coors in
No.
1976 because at that time it was only marketed on the West Coast. So it
Yeah,
would be
you could
nearly
not get
impossible.
cores. You could not get cores. Cores was and this is something I don't know how deep you went into this as a beer drinker, you probably did. But I mean the whole movie Smoking the Bandit is based on the whole idea that you could not get cores on the East Coast. And there was a whole thing with freshness, for one thing. Um, Coors marketed their beer with whatever it was. What was it? Colorado Rocky
Yeah,
Mountains.
yeah, Rocky Mountain spring water.
Yes, and which could only be had on the West Coast. And they would not sell the beer stale. So the beer was always considered something fresh, fresh from the mountains. That's I still remember the commercials when I first saw the commercials for it. You could not on the East Coast get that beer, and the movie Smokey the Bandit, they hire the two rich guys hire uh, Smokey and the Bandit to go and run a whole truckload of beer for what that party they're putting on, a barbecue, whatever the hell it was, and they had to get it there fast so the beer would be fresh. And of course, there was also some kind of legality that you could not get the beer on the. It was not supposed to be trucked to the East Coast. That was another thing. There was some kind of legality, but he is drinking a Coors because, like you said earlier, that is the mansion behind him, and he was drinking that on the set in California, and he was drinking a fresh Coors. So you're absolutely right. That is what I was thinking. So good job with that one too, because I didn't know if
Yeah,
you
but
had
I mean,
known
this
that
is the
one.
very definition of trivia. Who is going to know that that shoot location is on the West Coast and that in 1976 you couldn't get Coors on the East
Well,
Coast? Like,
but that's a great piece of trivia, and that's why you explaining that actually is a cool thing, because people nowadays, I mean, hey, listen, I live in New Hampshire. That's as far east as you can get, pretty much, and I can go into any grocery store and buy Coors and ice cold Coors, in the beer in the beer case, and you couldn't have that in the 70s. It wasn't available. So that is something. It's a nice piece of trivia because younger people certainly wouldn't know that, but which is
I,
again,
I told that to Lisa and she just shook her head because it was
yeah,
like talk about minutia.
yeah. Well, now the scene behind me is after it's all wrapping up, and very much like the movie The Shining, where at the end of the movie you see Jack Nicholson's face. He's become part of the Shining Mansion, and the son, the father, and actually I believe Bette Davis's face is on that too. You don't see Karen Black, so that's why I'm wondering whether she was absorbed by the house, but you can see Bette Davis.
I believe
So
she was. But again, it was left open-ended. Okay, so here's a bit of trivia.
sure,
So what I heard, what I read
yeah.
was that this screenplay was written in 69, 1969, and it was shopped around and no studio picked it up.
Yeah,
And so then somehow it seems like it's mysterious, it's not explicit, or it's like an untalked about rumor. A book hit the stands in 1973 called Burnt Offerings.
yeah. Isn't the I mean, this is actually based on a book, right?
Right. But
Yeah.
the rumor is the book is based on the original screenplay.
Mm,
And when it didn't
okay.
get picked up, they said, well, let's do something with this material.
Wow. Wow. Well,
And
that's a good piece of trivia because I thought just the opposite. I thought, usually
oh,
a movie's
but
wow.
the trivia goes on.
Oh, really?
Dan Curtis read the book and he said to himself, I would hate to be the director to make this into a movie.
That's great. That's
Because
great.
evidently the book is extremely open-ended. It's got a very vague ending. And so when he got offered the job and took the job,
Yeah.
he wrote the ending he thought it should have.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Um, and but to tell you the truth, all I can say is Dan Curtis has ball or had balls. I think he's dead now.
I believe he is.
But look at the kid behind me. This is the scene in the car. his face is covered in blood. That's not his blood. That's his father's blood. His father's face has just come through the windshield. And I mean, how much trauma can you put on a kid? And then you kill him with a chimney falling on.
I have a feeling that being his first theatrical release, Curtis did all the things he had been unable to making
Sure.
productions for
Yeah,
television.
the stuff he could not get away with. Yeah, he just poured it on. But it's absolutely there's the kid with the chimney coming down, of course. Right on top of him. It's just like I said, it's just so horrific. I mean, and there's so many scenes. That's another scene. And the chauffeur comes in at that point with a coffin for her. It's like I said, there's scenes that are like traumatizing. When you're watching this movie, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, but
Um,
I mean, they almost nothing occurs until like the hour and 10 minute mark.
yeah, yeah,
So this is a classic story. It's well told.
yeah.
Camera work is great. They used gauze on the lens a little too much. Their
Oh
lens
yeah,
filter
yeah,
was a little
yeah,
overdone,
yeah.
but
Or
you
and
know,
glycerin shots. Yep. Yeah, that's the scene. He's coming in when she's doing this. Hold on. When she's doing this, that's what they're actually saying. It's like, yeah, I'm coming to get you. He's coming to haul her away. It's like, oh my God, there's some just and the scenes of her on the bed writhing in agony. Her back is you can actually hear snapping sounds of her back. It's like it's just so horrific.
but
So
but you know, there are some great scenes. If anyone listens to not that anyone is going to listen to what I have to say as movie suggestions, but
well,
if
they should.
anyone is, I don't know if this movie is meant for today's audiences. If they're used to seeing films of the 2000s and up,
Well,
this is a slow burnt offering.
I would say this. If it's not meant for today's audiences, it should be. My feeling is just like when you're talking about social media, even about YouTube. I mean, we do this channel, and I know this channel isn't everybody's cup of tea, but the click-through rate on YouTube is phenomenal. People just like they don't have any patience. They'll watch something for a few seconds and then they move on to the next video. The same thing. This is one of these slow burn horror movies. But if you take the time and make the effort to actually appreciate the movie itself, this is a slow burn, but it's a frigging great horror movie. And yeah, it's not like constant stabbing. It's not like constant like shock stuff coming at you, but it's a great horror movie that will just chill your blood, or as Richard Pryor used to say, chilled my shit. but but
Now,
yeah,
now, one interesting take that
yes,
I heard on this movie is many analyses I've read said that this story represents how materialism and the quest to attain things, status,
yeah.
is ruining the modern family, how it destroys families.
Well,
And I don't know if Curtis read that much into it when he was making it, but I
yeah,
found I found it an interesting statement from other people that have read it.
yeah. Well, I could agree with that too. But and by the way, behind me is the character actor that plays the handyman.
Doug
Who I
Taylor.
Yes, and again, I apologize for not being able to remember the guy's name. Now this is Bette Davis. She was doing oil painting several times during this movie. One of the things that they talked about, another piece of little trivia about Bette Davis. Um, you see her more than once in this movie knitting. And I don't know if you read anything on that, but apparently, whenever Bette Davis made films right from when she was younger, right through until at the end of her career, which this was getting near the end of her career. Um, she loved to knit. It was her favorite hobby. And every movie she played in, she would bring knitting and they incorporated it into this movie. You see her knitting constantly. And yeah, that was one of her favorite hobbies. So for anyone that loves Bette Davis, little piece of trivia. But yeah. Um, and that actually, I don't know why I'm going on about but that was actually the funeral for Bette Davis.
Right.
So, and why I forgot that, I don't know, but that's actually the scene where they put her in the ground, and that's when he sees the chauffeur too, standing over there laughing, and that's a great image behind you, by the way. I
This,
love
this,
seeing.
this guy, like Karen Black at the end was phenomenal. But this guy right here was the single most chilling figure in this movie.
Well, yes, you are right. I agree. He was definitely one of them, but hey. And I actually did realize I
Nice.
have a shot of that also. But those two scenes right there are probably I still remember the first time I ever saw this movie. The chauffeur was definitely scaring the hell out of me. But this scene at the end, because it was almost one of the last scenes in the movie, seeing her like that, I still remember like that. That probably gave me nightmares. I think I was probably 13 the first time I saw this, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Those eyes, and Karen Black just had this distinct face. She was. I love Karen Black. I mean, she's actually quite pretty and quite sexy. I don't think she's thought of as much as a sex symbol, but she was quite a sex symbol, when she was younger. And in fact, there's a scene of her with Dennis Hopper from Easy Rider, and but yeah, she was actually Five Easy Pieces. She was Jack Nicholson's girlfriend, and but yeah, I mean, quite an actress, and well deserved. Even right into House of a Thousand Corpses, when she was actually quite old, she played that horror role. So I mean, she's just been in tons and tons of movies, and some of them are great horror ones.
All of these, again, the entire cast, when I look them up,
Yeah,
they've got, easily 50 plus movies to their credit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's quite a cast. Um, I get it what you're saying. It's kind of a dated movie by today's standards, certainly by horror standards. But I actually feel when you say that, it kind of puts a pain in my heart because I just feel like today that people don't appreciate what good horror is, and there's times where I try to show like a younger person, and one of my big things with we're both movie buffs, we're movie nerds, we talk about movies all the time, but one of my big things, and I've always tried to do this, I've done it with all my nieces and nephews, friends, family. I try to open them to movies that they wouldn't otherwise watch. And um, to me, it's almost like I remember like traveling when I was a kid. We did a lot of traveling. We traveled through Europe, and I remember your grandmother, my mom, saying she was talking about food and trying new things, and she said, I'm not asking you to like eat everything that on your plate if you don't like something, but try it. And I'm the same way when it comes to like film. It's like just open yourself a little bit, explore, be open.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I mean, that's why, when I was in school, we read the classics, Catcher in the Rye,
Sure.
Moby Dick,
Yeah.
and they were educational, but we didn't read these for enjoyment. So if someone is asking me what's a movie I might like,
Yeah.
I can't suggest this.
Well, I can. I
That
can,
was fine. You'll never know what someone likes. Like just yesterday,
yeah,
I recommended the movie It Follows, which I
right.
thought was a great horror movie.
It's a terrific movie. I
And
love it.
this person just did not like it.
Yeah, but at least the person sat down and watched it.
Right, right.
And so if they don't like it, that's one thing. It's another thing if they say, "Oh no, I don't like those kind of movies. I'm just not going to watch it." That's the kind of thing that actually like it kind of bugs me. And I don't care. I don't care whether it's whether it's a type of food or whether it's a movie or whatever. It's like just open your mind a little bit. Try new things.
Yeah, I mean
And
that's very true. Very true. And I'm not saying someone shouldn't watch it.
yeah,
I'm just saying among the people I know, if I had to guess who would really enjoy this,
yeah.
I don't know who I would say.
Well, I don't know. For me for me, I would say um, I could see a lot of people, a lot of people that at least as long as you're someone that is open to a lot of genres of movies, a lot of, if you're, I don't know, even for, like I remember showing the movie, the movie, The Bad Seed to my friend Erica. Her daughter was only like 5 or 6. And I'm terrible at like exposing children to horror movies, but she loved The Bad Seed. It was an old movie, black and white. Uh, Patty McCormick, Eileen Heckart again, great actress. Um, it's a terrific movie, and what a performance by Patty McCormick as the Bad Seed. But it's kind of a fun horror movie. It's not really like you don't really see a lot of like because
No,
there's
all the deaths are off screen.
yes, nothing happens in front of you, which is another thing that I find really refreshing about older horror is a lot of times people think horror is well that what's scary is like showing somebody coming out with a knife and stabbing somebody in this graphic scene. That is not what makes a movie scary. What makes a movie scary is the suspense. It's the buildup. It's the person going into the cellar and is there someone hiding down there? Is there a killer down there? You could walk through the entire cellar and then leave, and the scene is still scary. And but you don't have to have the person get stabbed to scare the shit out of you. Maybe have something move in the cellar so you think to yourself, wow, there's somebody actually there, but you don't even see the person. That's
Oh
scary.
man, have I got the movie for you?
Okay.
I'm not going to say it because it's going to be a future pick,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be my next pick because I've already got that in mind, and I'm
Nice.
not changing that.
Okay.
But man, there's a movie that I'm going to pick soon because
Okay. Cool.
it's there's absolutely no gore,
Yep.
there's almost no violence, and yet it's such a tense movie.
Right. Right. Now, one of the things, and we're getting on in the time on this. And one of the things that I think we found it a little bit disappointing, both of us, because we did last week your suggestion, and I thought it was a great suggestion. We did the trivia with the trivia game, and one of the things that we kind of like said during our taping of that one, uh, we were hoping that people would make comments, say what they thought of it, maybe and maybe tell us what their scores were on the movie or the movie trivia, whether they
You
outscored
there,
us
Mike?
or what's that? I'm sorry, what?
Are you there? Are you froze for a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Yeah, I thought you froze for a second, but anyway, so anyway, but yeah, so like I said, we didn't get any comments from the trivia one, and it is kind of nice, people, if you are watching, once in a while, throw in a comment, throw in something that actually like, because it kind of like helps us to know like should we do more of the trivia game? Should we do more of whatever, or if you have a suggestion for a movie, those things always help. So just putting that out there. But yeah, the comments kind of are a nice thing. So, and if somebody's going to leave whether they leave a like or a dislike, let us know. If you leave a thumbs down, let us know, why'd you do that? Did you just look at it and was it a flip thing that you did just because you thought, oh, I hate these guys? Tell us you hate us. But
Yeah, I'll be happy as long as just people are watching.
yeah, that's true. But I'd like some comments once in a while. So
Getting back to the movie, I think we've shown that we've said as much as we can about this.
yeah, yeah, you're right. I think we probably have, other than that Betty Davis was probably really tortured in this, both by Oliver Reed and and by having her back broken, I guess. Um, but no, like I said, this was one that was very near and dear to my heart. I loved it. Not everybody's going to. I get that part. Um, there's two very, very different scenes.
Yep.
One of the house uh, before when they first arrive, and that's the house after the whole entire family is wiped out and killed. so the house restored itself. But yeah, Dom, I think we did probably say everything that we have to say, other than look at that LTD station wagon. You
I
gotta
know.
love it. I
Here's a piece of trivia. You know
yeah.
what that LTD station wagon did not have?
Oh, it didn't have wood trim.
Wood trim, which is
Yes.
a rarity.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And absolutely, it's funny because I actually looked up the LTD because it was one of the first cars I ever drove, was a 72 LTD when I was quite young. And your grandfather drove one, yellow with uh, a hard top. And that car had a 400 cubic inch engine and it was really fast. So it's probably too fast for some of my age, but at the time. But yeah, it was considered a rarity. So that car right now, I don't know where it is, but if somebody owns that, that's considered not only because it was in burn offerings, but it's also a rare edition of the LTD wagon. But yeah, you got to love those. I love the old station wagons anyway. They were just great. Talk about little death traps too. Kids sitting, they had a lot of them had a third seat in the back that would fold up, and the kids could sit there facing the cars coming at them. If there was a sudden stop and someone was going to get rear-ended, the kids are in the back, so you're like, ah. Plus, the windows would roll down and you're out there and you're getting all the exhaust. If you're stuck in traffic, the exhaust is coming through the window and killing the kids with carbon monoxide too. So the good old days.
At some point, I'll choose some of the driver's ed videos I saw back
Oh
in
my god.
high school because those were more horrifying than a lot of horror movies
Oh
I've
my
seen.
god. Yeah, the scenes they would show people with like the old before safety glass, people with pieces of windshield through their eyes and
And this isn't special effects. This was actual photos.
yeah, yeah. I mean, people don't even realize, younger people don't even realize what the shit that we got exposed to when when we were younger for just to be living. But yeah, so I think yeah, you're right. I think we probably said everything we can say about this one.
I think it's
Uh,
time to call it.
yep, and for me it was a fun watch. I give this two thumbs up. I have a feeling you don't come close to that, but
No, I'm giving it one thumbs up. It's a good, solid haunted house movie.
yeah,
It is a classic, and you got to appreciate it for that. But it was just it just dragged too slow at the beginning, and then like everything happened in the last like 20 minutes. It seemed.
yeah. But that's a way to go out, man. It's that's kind of what I liked about it. It's a slow burn, and then it leaves you with, at the by the end of it, it leaves you traumatized and horrified. And to me, that's a great way to go out. So yeah, I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's probably a lot of it is nostalgia too, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, two differing opinions. Um,
As
absolutely.
always.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what makes it so fun. So now, do you know your next pick?
Oh yeah, I've been waiting to pick this one for a while. This has been on my
Really?
list since the very beginning.
Wow. So do you want to say it?
One of the greatest zombie movies ever made,
Oh,
Train to Busan.
okay. I know the movie, and I have to say right off, I can tell you right now, I like the movie.
I love this
So
movie. This
yeah,
movie has like everything. If I
yeah,
talk about it, clearly it's a zombie flick, but it's
yes.
got action, it's got romance.
It's heartwarming.
It really is. It's got family goodness.
Yep. Yep. No, there's a lot going on there. Good pick. That's and it's still within the realm of the. We've been picking horror movies, folks, and we've got another one that's definitely in the horror realm for next week. So so yep, we're still doing it up for Halloween, and I'll probably have another one. So there'll probably be a one last horror one that even after Dom's Train to Busan. If you haven't seen Train to Busan, people, and you're still watching, um, please check it out so that when I
It's
do we
another
do
one that's really easy to find. I saw it on YouTube last time I saw it.
yeah, it's available in a lot of places, and it's a great movie. If you have not seen it, it's even worth renting if you can't see it any other way. It's a fun movie. I own the movie on my Voodoo Fandango. I So it's definitely a fun watch, a good watch. There's some creepy zombie stuff in it too. I mean, there's times where you're like, so, but um, but yeah, that's good pick, Dom. I can't wait. So we'll do it up.
Well, until next week,
Yeah,
zombies.
yeah. Let's call it a night here. Dom, as always, it was fun as hell, and
Yep.
I will see you next week. And to all our people out there watching, please leave a like if you would, and subscribe if you would. We appreciate the support. Thank you all. Thank you for watching. And Dom, see you next week, man.
I'll see you next week, man.
Take care.